All right, Miami Hurricanes fans, I know there's a lot of folks who are too scared to jump into this whole thing because it is crazy, but I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do my best here to describe our best chance to actually making this ACC Championship game, this incredibly elusive ACC Championship game. They got to do something to change this, y'all, because it's nuts. All right, but anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. So, the chances of our Hurricanes making the ACC championship game, I'm going to tell y'all, they're not great. All right. But I'm going to give you the best path that we have to actually making this championship game. So, right now, there are three teams that's undefeated in the conference. That's SMU, Virginia, and Georgia Tech. Now, obviously, we have one loss in the ACC already. So, they're ahead of us, clearly. The only chance that we have to actually make the playoff, or not the playoff, but the ACC championship game, for any, like, we have multiple options and multiple ways that we can, but every possible option that we have to make the championship game is by us going, it starts with us winning the rest of the games. Cannot lose another game. Cannot lose another game. If we lose another game, we are completely out. It's over. Okay. So Miami has to first win the rest of these conference games. Now, let's look at, to understand the rest of this stuff, you got to understand these tiebreakers. Like, it's crazy work, y'all. This is crazy. So I only want to go over the first two tiebreaker situations. I don't even care to go into the third one. So the first tiebreaker, that means if both teams end up with one loss, how do they decide which one is going to actually go into the championship? The first thing they look at is head-to-head competition between the two tied teams. So that means if Louisville and Miami both have one loss in the ACC at the end of the season, Louisville will go in because they have the head-to-head win on us, which sucks. Okay. The second thing is, let's say if both teams have one loss, but you didn't play each other. The next thing they go to is win percentage versus all common opponents. So that means if the Hurricanes have one loss and Virginia has one loss, if we ended up beating a team that Virginia lost to, then we would go to the playoffs. They just look at the teams that you both played, and whichever one beat a team that the other team lost to, basically that's the team that goes in. So that is the tie breaking. I just want to go over those two because it just gets too convoluted going down the rest of it. All right. So now we've got to look at what team, like who plays who, right? That's the first thing you got to look at. Like, does Georgia Tech play against Virginia? Does Virginia play against? Unfortunately, Georgia Tech does not play against Virginia, so that's not going to help us. Okay. I wish, but no, that doesn't help. So that brings us back to the beginning, which saying the Hurricanes have to win the rest of their games. So let's look at the teams that's in front of us right now. The teams that's in front of us, Georgia Tech, Virginia, SMU, and I also want to include Pittsburgh in this. You understand why. All right, so the teams that Miami has left on their schedule, playing Stanford, playing SMU. SMU is undefeated in the ACC right now. When we beat SMU, that means we'll have one loss and SMU will have one loss. But we get the tiebreaker because we have the head-to-head win on that. So that does away with SMU. We don't have to worry about them. Then we play Syracuse, we play NC State, Virginia Tech, and we also play Pittsburgh. We have to win those games. The most important game is SMU, mainly because SMU hasn't lost yet this season. So we beat them, we jump them because we both have one loss, but then we also have the head-to-head loss on them. Head-to-head win on them. Okay, so now let's look at the rest of these teams' schedules. I don't really want to focus on Pittsburgh because we play against them. We should take care of them and jump them. I don't want to focus on SMU because we beat them, take care of them, we'll jump them as well. Now let's look at Virginia. I don't even want to look at Louisville because that is a mess in itself. So let's look at the games that Virginia has left. Virginia has UNC, who they should manhandle. They've got California, Wake Forest, Duke, which may be a pretty tough game, and they got Virginia Tech. So let's say if the reason why the odds of us jumping Virginia is not so great, I'm going to tell y'all why. It looks like Virginia's going to win against North Carolina easily, California easily, Wake Forest easily, and Virginia Tech probably pretty easily, unless they have a Miami slump towards the end of the year like we always do. Now, let's say if Virginia does lose to Duke. We don't play Duke this year, okay? So that would mean Virginia would have one loss at the end of the season in ACC play. The problem is Virginia played Louisville and they beat Louisville. So we would have one. So again, if Virginia lost to Duke, Virginia would end the season in the ACC with one loss. Miami would also have one loss. So they would say, did Miami and Virginia play each other? No. So they go to the second tiebreaker. And then they would say, who did Virginia and Miami play? Who was the one team that they both played? And it would say Louisville. Virginia beat Louisville. Miami lost to Louisville. Virginia would go. So for us to jump Virginia, we need them to lose 2 of the remaining 5 games, and that just does not seem realistic to me. So the odds of us jumping Virginia is just not very likely. Now let's look at Georgia Tech, what they have left, which is actually the team that I was hoping we'd end up playing in the championship because I just wanted some get back on them for the last couple years. So let's look at what they've got. They got to play against Syracuse, then they play against NC State, Boston College, Pitt. That's the last 4 games they got in the ACC. So what we can hope for is they lose to NC State and they lose to Pitt. If they do that, that would be wonderful. If not both, at least one of those. If they lose to, let's say if they lose to Pitt, that would give them 1 loss on the season in the ACC. We would also have 1 loss on the season, but we beat Pitt because I expect us to beat Pitt, and they lose to Pitt, that gives us the tiebreaker, so we will go in. So the best odds for us to get into the playoffs, the best odds for us to get into the ACC Championship game right now, as far as the top 2 teams losing, would be Georgia Tech, either losing to NC State or Pittsburgh, because we play both of those teams. We play NC State, let's see. We play NC State on November 15th. So we beat NC State and they lose to NC State, then we jump them. Now, the only team that really outside of those 2, because again, we play against SMU, we play against Pittsburgh. Duke, I'm thinking they're going to end up losing again because they play against Clemson, which they probably will lose that game. They also play against Virginia, which they'll probably lose that game. So I'm not too concerned about Duke at this point either. I think we'll end up jumping them. Louisville is the school that I'm looking at. I'm saying, I don't know how we really get past them at this point because they do hold the head-to-head on us. They're playing Boston College, which is a bad team. They play against Virginia Tech, who is playing without a head coach, basically. Play against California. Clemson, you never know what you're going to get from Clemson. And then SMU. So Louisville already has 1 loss, so we're tied with them right now, except they have the tiebreaker. But if they lose to either Clemson or SMU, then they would have 2 losses in ACC and we would jump them. So those are scenarios, man. The first part of each of these scenarios, they all include us winning the rest of the games. Again, if we don't win every game, you can throw out all these scenarios. It's over. It's done. The college football playoff is done and the ACC Championship game is done. But when you just look at these standings, you just got to look at where we are, which is way down here. And you got to say, we have to climb all these teams. We play Stanford. We beat them. We'll be fine. California, they're going to lose. I'm not concerned about them. You look at Louisville. You say, okay, hopefully they lose one of those 2 games against Clemson, or who was the other game that I mentioned earlier? Clemson or SMU. Maybe they lose one of those games. Duke, they just lost the game. We're just gonna let the schedule take care of Duke. They'll lose another game. We take care of Pitt ourselves. We take care of SMU ourselves. Virginia, I don't know about Virginia, man. Like, Virginia is the one team I'm looking at and I'm saying I don't really see them losing. I think they're going to run the table the rest of the way. I don't see them losing. And then Georgia Tech. So if the scenarios play themselves out in the best way possible, I see us playing against Virginia in the ACC Championship game. If they play out in our fortune, obviously. We need Georgia Tech to lose to NC State or Pittsburgh, because I don't see them losing against Syracuse or Boston College. So that's it in a nutshell, man. You see where we are. We're way down here towards the bottom, towards the middle, I should say. And we just got to hope and pray that the cards fall perfectly for us. But first, we got to take care of business and win out. If we win out, there's a serious chance that we could get in there. If we lose one more game, we are completely out. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense to y'all, man. It's crazy. I looked at this for quite a while this morning. I'm like, well, what's the real chances of us making this thing? And this is where we are. We have to win out. And we've got to hope that one of these teams, well, that multiple teams get upset. I don't see Virginia getting upset. But we've got to hope that Georgia Tech loses at least one of those two games that they could potentially lose. We take care of SMU. We take care of Pitt. Duke is going to lose. I'm not concerned about them. And then Louisville has to slip up and get beat by somebody. Maybe Clemson or SMU. We'll see. All right. That's all that I got for y'all today, man. I hope that makes it a little more clear, not even more cloudy. Like, what the hell is Jordan talking about? I'm not following. I hope that's not what I did here. So anyway, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue building this thing one like and one subscription at a time. Every like we get, every subscription we get, you help me take care of my family even better. So I appreciate that support. All right. That's all that I got. Take care. God bless. Peace.